I think one of the biggest problems, and we've seen this at the various big industry conferences over the last 4 or 5 years about business analytics, is that too many people just go straight in to business analytics. It's great, everybody's giving these presentations. Here is how we have got 10% improvement in our revenue, profit, and so on. And these are 3 or 4 or 10 or 15 or 20 people who've got success. And then everybody jumps on the bandwagon with a big project, and 40 to 60% of all of these projects are going to fail. So my advice is that if you want to start exploring big data analytics, or just analytics in general, then you start small, you experiment, you learn about your data, you find out what data you've got and how it connects and how it relates to your business opportunities, and then you start prototyping, experimenting. And when you find something that actually does start giving some value, that's when you start thinking about, now we can build a proper project. And that way, you're much more likely to get success than if you just go in with a huge big project. Start small, experiment. When you find something that works, that is the time to really start putting the money and the investment in. I think in terms of strategy, again, we can see that there are some interesting opportunities. There are a lot of businesses who are using AI, whether it's predictive analytics, using regression analysis or something of many, many, many hundreds of parameters, where it's very, very seductive to get the system to learn from the previous data which we have done with human decision making. Now what this means is the AI learns how to behave like a human. It will be no more rational and no less rational than the humans who made the previous decisions. It will not give you anything more. And the problem then becomes, particularly under GDPR, you have this opaque box that's now learned how to behave like a human. It won't learn how to be better than a human by and large. Now, that then means we cannot solve the analytics transparency, algorithmic transparency problem of GDPR, because we cannot explain what these things do in words of one syllable to our clients who are unhappy with the decisions. And I think that we need to think extremely carefully about the trade-off between the ease and quickness of getting this thing to learn from the past and lack of transparency, the total opacity of these black boxes, with the longer development time to build a decision tree algorithmically, which we can then explain very, very precisely, you failed on that point. With a regression predictive analytic type of thing, you've got 1,000 factors, and it's incredibly difficult to say to a customer, well, you failed on, well, it's somewhere in there. That's not going to help. If you use a neural network, it's even more difficult. So I think the thing is to think very, very carefully indeed about what you're trying to do and how does that meet the algorithmic transparency requirements of GDPR. Personally, I'm very, very intrigued about the use of neural networks and the problems of training these systems. The problems relating specifically to the training data set. Is it fully representative or is it highly biased? And this is, we're seeing more and more examples, particularly of neural network technology, where the data sets are very, very uncertain in terms of representation of the whole population, whether with face recognition or almost anything else. And so that's an area that I think businesses need to be extremely careful of, because it may give a problem. In business terms, if you're not looking at images, but you're looking, say, at your clients, if you have a 5% market share, you can guarantee that although you've got all the data about your 5% population, it's almost certainly totally unrepresentative of the full countrywide population. how are you going to use the training on your 5% when you want to open up your market to the whole 100% population? You've got a problem of bias. And I think that's one of the biggest issues we're going to have for the future with all forms of AI, whether neural networks, predictive analytics, or anything else. It's data bias, training bias.